you think my vlog's going to be the worst vlog? I'm going to come sit at the front like this.
I'll cut this bit out. Okay.
Where we get comfortable.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
get comfortable, so. Hi, I'm Eileen from Cucumber Clothing, and I'm here today with the fabulous Sharon Hughff. 2 H's, 1 G and 2 F's, that's how I always remember it, who is one of today's top female television producers. So we're very lucky to have her today talking to Cucumber about television, about herself, and about life itself. So first of all, you've had a really interesting career so far. Can you start from the very beginning and give me a quick bullet point career rundown?
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, Cucumber. I have been working in television for about 20 years, but I actually started working in television. I actually started working in the theatre, and before that, I studied drama. So I've always had the desire to work in drama, which is what I do now. But it kind of was a kind of odd little route into it. It wasn't I didn't go straight into television because I didn't really know how, and I didn't really know anybody, and I didn't have any contacts whatsoever. So I thought I would always work in the theatre, and so that was my first job out of university, and I worked in the West End, and I was an understudy. And I was a singer, so I knew how to sing, so that was really helpful. So I began, I don't know that it was, but it just happened, and it's what I'd done as a child. I'd done a lot of acting and singing as a child, so I just kind of fell into that.
Can we get a few notes? Is that a thing?
Let's see if we get to the end first. I found my way mainly just through necessity of actually having to make a living into working in television.
Right.
When I was about 26.
And now, what are you working on right now?
So at the moment, I work at a company called Left Bank Pictures, which is one of the biggest drama producers in the UK. We produce The Crown, which is our big show that everyone knows for Netflix.
Very big.
Very big. But the show that I'm working on is another Netflix show which we had commissioned last year, which is called White Lines. It's a 10-part series. It's shooting in Madrid, Mallorca and Ibiza this year.
Oh, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, it's the best locations that I've ever had to film in. Let me tell you, I spent lots of last year in Kuala Lumpur and in all sorts of parts of Asia. And so this is a little bit closer to home, which is much nicer.
Okay. I know you can't name your worst celebs, but do you have any little stories about high maintenance demands?
Well, I've had lots of demands. The whole thing is a big demand, really, in terms of being a producer. I mean, I think, to be honest, when you work with creative people, they all have their quirks, and they're all interesting in different ways.
You're being very...
Have to be political. No, I think the truth is, I really like working with actors, writers, and directors, and they all have their quirks and the weird things they want, or things that the way they work is very particular in each case. And I guess, if I'm absolutely honest, that's why I like my job. So even when they're difficult, that's the thing.
You're enjoying
it. You get the sort of the good and the bad, and if you didn't like that, you just couldn't do it.
So if any of you are listening to this now, Sharon really doesn't mind those midnight calls.
No, but
Haribos.
there is some if it was just Haribo, it'd be fine. There's much worse than that.
So the other thing, obviously, that's been percolating in the world of television and cinema and everything is the whole Me Too movement, hashtag Me Too. Has that been something that you personally have had to deal with, or is something that you've seen, or has it not really affected you, or...?
No, I think it's always affected me, actually. It's been part of it's part of every workplace. I think it's part of the world we live in. I think at work, when I first started, particularly working in, let's say, television, there were lots of occasions where I worked for men who were, incredibly sexist, and as a young girl coming into that environment, it's quite intimidating.
Yeah.
I think it's so different now, but it's not different enough. I think we still don't have enough diversity in every way in terms of like camera crews, lighting crews.
Oh gosh, I mean you don't think about that, because normally as a viewer you're just looking at the people in front of okay, well as a reward for all your hard work, we're going to offer you a desert island of your choice. So where is that going to be exactly?
Well, there's an island I go back to every year and have done for 20 years. It's the island of Spetsi. I don't want everyone else to go actually. It's quite hard to get to. It's a Greek island, and so if I have the choice to go somewhere when I want to have a downtime, that's the place.
Right. Okay. And then, tricky question I know for someone who works in TV. Which box set are you going to take with you? Remember, there's only one you can take. You're going to be watching it multiple times.
I don't know if there's any box set I particularly want to watch multiple times. Well, you know, I suppose, I tell you what, why don't I take something I haven't seen, which I'm going to have to admit I haven't seen, and it's just terrible admission. I've never ever seen Game of Thrones. And that's in my industry, that's basically like saying you haven't watched television. So maybe I should just take the lot.
Take the lot. That will keep you occupied for a long time.
You know,
you can take the book. We'll let you take the books as well, so you can compare.
Right.
Compare
and contrast. If I must.
It will keep you occupied for long. Okay. Well, we are running out of time. So my last question to you is: you work in a really glamorous industry. I think most people would admit that, and probably a lot of people might secretly wish to be part of that world. If you had one top tip for getting into television, what would it be?
I think you have to really want to do it, and you have to really understand what it is you want to do when you get there, because there's lots of jobs you could be doing in television, and there's so many jobs. And you know, not many people really understand what half of those jobs are, so you have to do sort of quite a lot of research and really understand what it is that you're aiming for.
Okay, well, there's maybe hope for the rest of us. Sharon, thank you so much.
Thank you. Cucumber. Is that okay?